Hey there guys, DMO73 here, bringing another feature match for the week. Today I am playing Zack Tufford's Turbo Fog list that he used at GP Atlanta, and Logan is playing a red-white black, I believe, kind of, or 5-color I guess, Lumia midrange deck with angels. So rather than using the hook stuff, he's using a more aggressive package to put in some damage, curving out with Celestial Wing Seraph and some angels to back it up, as opposed to using the hook. So yeah, so that is what we're going to be seeing today. You're going to be seeing a lot of resonators on Logan's side and very few resonators on my side. Pretty much the whole purpose of the Turbo Fog list is to just kind of keep fogging the board over and over and over and over again, and clearing the board and board wiping and ramping and everything else until I eventually hit Odin and Steam Explosion, so I can cast Steam Explosion and deal like 80 damage all in one go. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see. I'll kind of talk about why certain cards are in the deck as we get playing, and we'll see how this goes. So I am going to be on the play, which is pretty nice for the fog list. Having that extra turn, or being on the play just gets me a little bit more time to ramp in a sense, and I don't have to necessarily deal with things as much. But against a deck that has like Lancelot and stuff like that, it kind of can be a downside because he could just energize into a Lance and I then have to suddenly start answering it. So I'm going to call for my first stone, play, get a Windstone, and play a Reflect. Really lucky to get that on turn 1, especially against a deck like Logan's, because now if I don't, tap out every turn, I can just start ramping into that Reflect to try to clear his board. So all 20 stones for the fog list are basics. It runs a lot of basic stones, and then it's all 5-color. So I'm going to go ahead and use Magic Stone Analysis to grab that Water Stone here, and I'm doing that so I can grab a Summon from Memoria, which helps me dig and kind of look at other cards and try to start flushing up my hand to what I need to be, and then I'll pass it over to Logan. So he's got that Guinevere on his side of the board, taps for his stone, gets a Ruler's Memoria, pays 2 to play that Lancelot, swings in for 6. I'm going to go ahead and take the 6. A lot of damage here early on is not going to be that big of a deal, especially since I can reset my life and do a lot of life gaining, a lot of life gain effects in this deck. So tap for stone, hit another Windstone, pay 2 to play. Thinking about maybe playing a Rewriting Laws, I think, but I decide instead I want to try to gain some life. So we're going to play a Magic Stone Analysis. I want to decide. I want to leave the Water Stone up in case I want to tap something down. Trying to figure out which of these basic stones I want to grab. Usually you're using Magic Stone Analysis to kind of grab the off color other than green that you need for the spells in your hand. In this case, I'm using it to ramp and to have access to that white, so that I can use my fog again if I have to next turn. I don't know if I have an Amaterasu's Foresight in my hand at this point. So he's going to play Priscia. We catch it. And he's gonna swing with both. He's gonna swing with Lancelot first, kind of correcting him there. I'm gonna take the 6 from Lancelot, and I think about tapping down for the Priscia, but then I go ahead and I'm just gonna go ahead and take the damage and go down to 21. Flickers the Lancelot there at the end of the turn. I'm gonna put 3 counters on the Reflect. Main reason I grabbed the White Stone is so that I can go ahead and shift Reflect if I need to be able to nuke the board. Grab another green. See, you've got that Torment of the World Tree there. It's a very good card for me. Deciding what cards I'm okay to ship away. Pay 2 green. Play Torment. This is going to let me ship any number of cards down to the bottom. I'm going to ship 3. I'm going to gain 8 life, and I'm going to get to draw 4 cards. So, Torment is a very powerful card in this deck. deciding whether or not I want to go ahead and pass. I could have used that Summon from Memoria to try and draw into a fog, but I'm also, again, I'm not terribly too worried about taking another turn worth of damage here from Logan. So he pays 4 and then energizes to play Celestial Wing Seraph. I know he's going to grab a Lucifer, which is going to kill my Reflect, which is unfortunate. Normally Reflect has Shroud, so it can't be targeted by anything. But Lucifer just says I have to sacrifice a creature. So with only one creature, that means I'm going to take the damage. I'm going to take the 6. I'm going to use... So I'm going to take the 6 from Lancelot, but in moving to combat, again, I'm going to go ahead and tap down the Priscia so that I don't take that 7 there. Now, I probably should have used the winds there, but I have a second Lumia's Judgment in hand, so I'm not terribly too worried about it. Now I have a fog. See, I have that fog spell in my hand, which is really nice. I'm going to pay 4. I'm going to cast... deciding how I want to spend it, I guess. I'm going to pay 4, and before I tap for stone, I'm going to cast Favorable Winds, I think. This lets me grab 2 wind stones into play tapped. 2 basic winds into play tapped. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm trying to deck thin my stone base before I call stone, so that just in case I'm not... So just in case, it might get me to my Firestone a little bit faster, because at this point that Lumia's Judgment is my board wipe, and so I have to try to get there. I'm going to use that Waterstone, and do Lumia's Summon from Memoria, so digging. So lots of spells, the deck is a lot of spells, and so there I have... feels good because I have drew into another Magic Stone analysis, so next turn I will be able to grab that Firestone and cast a Lumia's Judgment. So Logan is going to play another Leviathan and then pay 3, and he's going to do Judgment. In response to the Judgment, while that stone is still tapped, I'm going to go ahead and cast Amaterasu's Foresight, hoping that he doesn't run any kind of cancel spells, and he does not. So for this turn, I'm not going to take any damage, which is really nice. And the reason why I did this in response to his Judgment is so that this way he can't tap for stone. But what he's going to do here is he's going to swing in with a Lumia anyway and flicker the Celestial Wing Seraph and get his Arla out, which is a pretty good move. But it feels good for me because it just means that I'm going to get to hit another card, get another card out of the way with that Lumia's Judgment that I've been saving. So I'm going to tap for stone. Thinking about how I want to execute this. Whether I cast it now and then tap for stone, or I have that Rewriting Laws in my hand. You see, that's pretty nice. So I'm going to pay 2. I'm going to cast the Rewriting Laws. So now I don't have to worry about, all my stones will tap for any color, which is really great. So Logan starts to try and cast, starts to try and do Guinevere there. The thing is, he already said okay to the resolution of Rewriting Laws. So I told him, it's like, you have to wait until I do something else, because I've retained priority again at this point. But you still will have a chance to activate Guinevere in response to whatever I do. And he's like, oh, okay. So trying to figure out exactly which stones to use for which ones with the Lumia's Judgment there. But I am going to go ahead and force X equals 5 on Lumia's Judgment. I'm going to get rid of a lot of stuff. So Guinevere is going to sacrifice Priscia, and I'm going to take 500 damage from that. But we get to resolve things in order. So I'm going to take the 500 damage from Priscia, go down to 18. And then Guinevere is going to resolve, and he's going to draw 2 and discard 1. Discards a Flame Sprite. And then Lumia's Judgment resolves. And all of those cards are going to get removed from the game. Now, he could have just as easily sacrificed all those Resonators to Leviton if he wanted to, but he chose not to at this point. So that feels really good for me. That was essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for 1 off that Lumia's Judgment. Sure, I took 500 damage, but like, it's fine. And then I'm going to go ahead and do Judgment for Charlotte, because Charlotte can just block Lumia forever, especially since he doesn't have those Levitons anymore. And I get to draw a couple cards and gain some life because I need to start reestablishing. So at this point, Logan has to kind of decide whether he's going to be like tapping for stone, or whether or not he's going to be trying to kind of reestablish, or whether or not he's going to just try to swing in for damage and try to get through that Charlotte. So he's going to swing. I'm going to block with the Charlotte. He pays 2. Plays a Lancelot. Swings it. Says he wants to try to swing into Charlotte. And I was like, you can't attack Charlotte. She's got an effect that prevents her from being attacked. So he's going to swing at my face. I'm going to take 14. And then he's going to go ahead and pay 2 and play Crimson Ray, which will kill Charlotte, and he'll gain 6 life. So, but it's fine in the sense that Charlotte kind of did her job. She refilled my hand. I got to gain a little bit more life. And Logan's board state is significantly changed from where it was before. So tapping for stone, gonna get another Windstone. You see I have that Lumia in my hand, so if I can keep everything alive for a little bit while longer, I'm gonna just be able to reset my life, which is really potent in this matchup. Because the longer this game goes, if he can't close, the harder it gets for him to do it. So now I have kind of a decision to make here in terms of what direction I want to take my turn. Am I going to spend it ramping? Am I going to try to use it to draw cards, make him discard his hand, anything like that? So Blessing of Yggdrasil is going to come out. Going to grab that Darkness Stone, the 1 of Darkness Stone. I offer him the cut. And he's like, no, it's fine. I'm going to pay 2, do Magic Stone analysis, go in and get the Firestone finally. So now next turn I can just drop Lumia whenever I want and reset my life back up to 40, which is really nice. And I'll pass the turn at that point. Oh, nope. I decided to go ahead and, yeah, I passed the turn, and then before he draws, I cast the fog. So there's really, at this point, there's really no, reason to not cast the fog there. I know what you're saying, like, oh, why don't you wait? But he has Lancelot first, so like he has to swing with Lancelot, and I don't want to be below 1,000 life because at that point he can probably just burn me to death, pretty easily. And so I'd rather just fog him now, and he'll be able to tap for stone, rather than wait for combat, try to fog him there to kind of like try to trick him into swinging with Lumia. Doesn't really make sense. So I'm going to tap for stone. And then out comes the Shifted Lumia, which will then trigger. I'll get to bring an Amasrasu's Foresight back to my hand, and I reset my life back to 4,000. So we're essentially starting a new game here, but again, I've got that fog. So now I get to kind of keep doing that. And if he doesn't kill that Lumia, right away, then, if he happens to like try to flicker it or anything else like that, I could potentially just continue to reuse it. So he pays 4, and he plays Lucifer, which immediately answers. But in response to that, I'm going to go ahead and say, well, I'm not going to take any damage for the turn then. So he happened to have that Lucifer, which makes me sacrifice the 1 creature. But at this point, Lumia's kind of done her job there in the sense of resetting my life back up to 40 and giving me a lot more breathing room. Tapping for stone, hitting another green stone. Playing Forment of the World Tree to draw 3 cards and gain 8 life. Paying black, paying blue. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 to play. Oh, thinking about maybe doing 5. Yeah. Oh, maybe not. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play Rewriting Laws first, so that I can kind of play things a little bit differently, and I can draw another card. So, Valentina's Reach, where X equals 5, for me to draw 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So with so much will to burn, spells like Valentina's Reach are excellent. You see I drew into another fog there, which is really nice. Using the redstone to produce blue to play Return from Memoria, so digging a little deeper. I find another Blessing of Yggdrasil, which will help me ramp a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and cast that, I think, or the Magic Stone Analysis. Yeah, casting the Magic Stone Analysis to grab my other water source. I've still got access to a fog in my hand, which is nice. Go ahead and pass to his turn and cast the fog during the upkeep. So again, this is another moment of like, I could wait, but there's really no point because of that Lancelot. So he messes up all of Logan's like mandatory attack chains in terms of he has to attack with Lancelot first. So it gets kind of weird there. So I'd rather just fog him while he's tapped out to guarantee that I'm not going to take any damage, and then let him try to like get kind of greedy. So he's going to pay 4 there. He's going to play his Arla. So now that stuff has his flyers have barrier, which isn't a problem because I'm not targeting with anything other than Steam Explosion, but that's only when I'm going to win the game anyway, so I'll target whatever I need to. Tap for stone, hit another green source, pay 2, form another world tree, I'll gain another 8 life, shipping away any cards that I really don't need. So I'm going to go ahead and just ship away 2, but still drawing 3 and gaining 8 is pretty nice. So paying 5. So paying 1 here to play a Reflect. Paying 4 to put 4 counters on it. Paying 5 to immediately shift it. And now I have Reflect with Refrain with 4 counters on it. So I'll be able to nuke the board. So really feels pretty good there. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and pass the turn. And, oh, no, I go ahead and I just say, like, well, let's just nuke the board right now. So that kills all of his stuff on the board. That kills his Lumia. That kills his bow, which we'll catch here in a second. But again, so here it is. I'm spending a lot of will, but that was essentially a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for 1 off of the Reflect Refrain. So, and I also still have my 2 water will up, and I'm way ahead on life. So at this point, what can he do to kind of throw at me to try to help get back in the saddle? What I'm especially is I'm gonna recover and keep fogging him again until I'm ready to nuke his board again. So Logan's going to pay 2. He's going to play that Lancelot. In moving to combat, I'm going to go ahead and tap it down. I don't really need a Keen Sense. He's going to play a second Lancelot. He's going to swing for 6, and I'm going to say that's fine. So I'll go down to 5,000. So drawing for my turn, if he doesn't have anything else, he's going to flicker one of the Lancelots. Calling for stone. I'm going to go ahead and sort all my stones here now that I've got all 5 colors. So it's 2 white, 1 red, 1 black, 2 blue, and the rest are green. But it's 20 stones, which is pretty cool. You see I've got that Steam Explosion in my hand. Don't really need it quite yet. Go ahead and pay 4 to cast that Lumia's Judgment. I'll get those 2 Lancelots RFG'd from the game. It's just a mini board wipe there. And then pay Valentina's Reach. I think we're X equals 3. Oh no, X equals 4, so I can refill my hand again and just kind of keep going. So this is what the deck does. It just kind of puts you in a position where I'm going to have way more cards than you. I'm going to keep your board clear constantly. You're not going to be able to deal damage. And eventually I'm just going to be able to kill you with a burn spell. So I finally find the Odin, which is looking like the last combo piece because they have the Steam Explosion there. And the reason why Odin is so important is because he's the thing that lets me cast Steam Explosion just for so much will. I'm going to go ahead and play Valentina's Reach to make him discard his hand. You know, I'll have to take a turn worth of damage most likely if he top decks something nice, but at this point I don't really have to worry about anything too impressive. Especially with 5,000 life, one creature on one turn is not going to kill me. He's going to play that Guinevere, so he'll be able to reload his hand potentially. And so I'll draw for turn. Tap for stone. And summon Odin. So now with Odin on the field, when all my stones tap, all my stones will produce a second color. So now I'm seeing exactly how much I have floating. So I've got 2 floating, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26. 24 floating. And so what I'm going to do here is I'll just 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. So Steam Explosion where X equals 24, targeting his Guinevere and hitting him for 48 damage off the burn spell there. So that is the end of game 1, and so now we move on to game 2. Like I said, you know, Turbo Fog is not going to really influence his life total until it's time to kill him. So it's going to be a lot of just kind of playing spells, preventing him from doing anything, and then going from there. So at this point in time, I'm going to be on the draw. So we'll see how that goes. Again, I'm looking for... we did go ahead and sideboard for this. I didn't really change much on my side of things. Could have sideboarded into Yggdrasil potentially, knowing that he's more of an aggressive deck, but I decided not to. Calls that first stone. Gets a Blasting Waves, plays a Guinevere. Tap for my first stone. I'm going to use that Energize for a Blessing of Yggdrasil. I wish it was a Magic Stone Analysis, but I'll still take a turn of ramp, turning that Energize into a consistent will source. And I'm going to grab white so that I have access to my fogs as fast as possible. You really don't need to grab the fire or the darkness stone until like way later, or unless you're getting swarmed, then you just need it. But usually with rewriting laws, you can get the fire you need anyway. So usually you want to grab the white stone so that you can use it during your opponent's turn. So he'll play that Lancelot, swing it, and then flicker it. Goes to my turn. Hit my second white source. I think I have a fog in my hand at this point, so I'm just kind of trying to chill a little bit. So at that point I'll just pass to him. Taps for a stone, hits another Ruler's Memoria. Phase 1 plays the Flame Sprite. Swings it with Lance, and in response to it, I'm just going to go ahead and fog. And then he'll flicker it and then pass the turn. I could have played the Priscia there, and I don't necessarily know why he didn't. Maybe he doesn't want to get Lumia's Judgmented or something like that. But the next turn I wouldn't even be able to Lumia's Judgment, so I'm going to pay 2. Play 4 Mint of the World Tree to try to gain some life back, ship away that Lumia, and a couple other cards that I don't really need. So I get to draw 3 and gain 8. I think I draw into almost the exact same cards. off that format, which was kind of weird and unfortunate. Then I just passed the turn to him. Taps for another stone, hits a blasting waves, or sorry, yeah, no blasting waves. Swings for 6, I'm going to go ahead and fog again. I'm going to pay 2 and play Barrier Seal. So that was pretty smart on Logan's side of things. So he waited until he could try to get another one of my seals, my fogs into the grave, and then get it removed from the game. But it is nice for me now, because now, while it's at least on the board, I'm not going to have to worry about taking damage from Priscia going to the grave, because she's not going to go to the grave. So going to my turn, tap for stone, hit a green source, play Rewriting Laws, so I can make some things happen during my turn. See, I draw into that Reflect, which is really nice at this point. I'm a little nervous about whether or not I'm going to be able to get it to survive, but I am going to go ahead and try for it. So if that Reflect can survive for the turn, then it's going to feel pretty nice, because next turn I'm probably just going to nuke the board, or at least in the next couple turns I'm probably just going to nuke the board. I'm going to use Format there to draw 3 cards and gain some more life. See, I draw into a Foresight there, which is nice. Logan taps for a stone, swings in for 6. I'm going to go ahead and take the 600 damage. He's going to play the Priscia. Now, he could use the Priscia here to attack into my Reflect, but instead he chooses to attack my face. So I'm going to go for take that 7, and I'm also going to take the 2 from the Flame Sprite. I think probably the best option would have been to swing at the Reflect to try to kill it and bait out a fog if I have one. Otherwise, if I don't have one, then you've just gotten rid of the board wipe, and I'm in a much worse position. So then he's going to flicker his Lancelot past to me. I will go ahead and put some counters on Reflect with my leftover Will. Tap for stone. Hit a blue source, which feels pretty nice. Pay 2 to do Magic Stone analysis. I think at this point I try to go grab my red stone. Nope, I decided to grab the black. Valentina's Reach makes more sense. And I think the reason why I'm doing Valentina's Reach here is because I'm trying to see if I can get... Nope! Not Valentina's Reach at all, I guess. I'm going to cast Return from Memoria. I think I just drew into an Odin, which is very nice. So all of my cards right now that I'm casting are getting removed from the game. Which is bad, because that means that 3 of my fogs are currently removed from the game. And if I can get Refrain to resolve, then that Barrier Seal is no longer a problem. My concern here is I have to try to keep hoping that he doesn't draw into a Celestial Wing Seraph or Lucifer. Otherwise, I am screwed. And there's just going to be so much pressure on the board that it's going to be a struggle for me to keep up. Unless I can draw into a Lumia's Judgment and just wipe the board again. So taps for stone, hits a Ruler's Memoria. Swings for 6. I'm going to go ahead and cast the fog there. So that's all 4 of my fogs at this point removed from the game, or at least 3 of them. So I'm going to have to just accept kind of whatever other damage comes my way, but that doesn't mean I can't gain life and reset my life and stuff. I'm going to put 2 counters on my Reflect, so I'm up to 4. So now I don't have to worry about it. I have access to a board wipe. Tap for stone. I'm going to pay the 5, and I'm going to go ahead and shift Reflect to being on the side that it needs to be. I do have the other fog in my hand, so. Paying the 5. Oh, thinking about maybe doing something else first. So I'm paying 5. I'm actually going to go ahead and say Valentina's Reach. And I'm going to make him discard his hand first. So the reason why I'm doing that, I could shift here and do it, but the reason why I did that is I wanted to get rid of his hand and force him to maybe flip into Lumia. Especially since I have a fog in my hand, I'm not worried about him, you know, establishing any more of a board presence. But with Barrier Seal, I can essentially just say, hey, all those cards are now gone, which is really nice. So at this point, I'm trying to see if I can get him to flip into Lumia to try to put some pressure on me, and then punish him for it. But he happens to draw into a Levitine, which is pretty unfortunate. So I'll take the 600 from Lancelot. He's gonna flip into Lumia, and then the trigger for his stone, he gets to recover. He's gonna swing in with the Persia, and I'm gonna go ahead and fog it. So now that's all 4 of my fogs removed. And he's gonna go ahead and edit that point past the turn, I believe. So draw. So at this point, I've done what I wanted to do. I have successfully gotten the Lumia to flip. The problem is he has Leviathan, which is not what I wanted to see. He happened to top deck into the thing that was going to give him Imperishable. So in response to me trying to shift, he's going to use Apollo to bring that Lancelot back to his hand, and he's going to be trying to sacrifice a creature to Leviathan to give himself Imperishable, or sacrifice Leviathan to give himself Imperishable. And I'm like, whoa, I'm not nuking the board yet. So you're gonna relax, because if he had, that would have been really bad for him. Because I just go, okay, I'll wait, and then at the start of his turn, I just kill his Lumia. But because he has that, you know, instant speed Imperishable option, he gets to kind of make sure that his Lumia lives to fight another day. I'll cast a Rewriting Laws. I happen to draw into another Rewriting Laws off of that, and so I'll just pass the turn there. So he draws. I ask him if he has anything during the upkeep. He chooses. He says no. I don't have anything. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, just trying to see if he's trying to do anything with his Regalia. My goal here is try to kind of get him to waste a turn with Lumia. So he's going to swing, attempts to flicker my Reflect, and in response, I'm going to go ahead and nuke the board. He will sacrifice his Leviathan to give himself Imperishable, but at this point in time, he will be rested. His Lumia will be rested, so he can't Judgment again. He can't call for a stone. Everything's kind of safe, and so I just have to deal with a Lancelot. He's going to swing at me for 6. I'll take the 6, and then he flickers at the end of the turn. So, goes to me. So now, even though all my 4 fogs are used, I don't have to worry about the rest of my spells getting RFG'd, which means that Horn of the Sacred Beast in my hand is much more effective. And I still have access to board wipes, so that's not a big deal either. I'm just asking how many cards he has in his hands. And so this is a point where I kind of get ahead of myself. So I have a Rewriting Laws in my hand. I meant to cast it. I didn't cast it here. That's why you see me tapping really poorly for the Darkness Stone. So that's just you know, playing at locals, not really focusing, having fun with Logan, getting caught up in the moment, jitters. So I have that Rewriting Laws in my hand, and I forgot to cast it. So that's why the Judgment was what it was. I thought I'd cast it and got it RFG, but I was like, I'm getting all convoluted. I know. This is 2 weeks in a row where I've done some stupid things with stones. So I apologize for that. But that legitimately, that was just a mistake that just happened. And was not intentional in any way, shape, or form. So after casting the format, gaining some life, I'm going to go ahead and play Reflect. I've got access to a lot more will in my hand. Got that Horn of the Sacred Beast, which is nice. So he just plays that Lucifer right off the bat and gets rid of my Reflect. I'm thinking about trying to bounce it back to my hand, which normally I wouldn't be able to do. But because I was bad, since I only had the 1 Water Will, but since I was bad here and didn't actually cast my Rewriting Laws like I meant to, I have access to that Water Will, and so you're going to see me be stupid and try to maybe bounce something. So he's going to swing with that Lancelot, and here it goes. I'm going to try to bounce it back to his hand, using the Blessing of Yggdrasil. So that is a play that I should not be able to do. I could have just as easily blocked it with Charlotte, but I didn't want to do the whole like get lightning helixed again. Crimson Ray after blocking does 6/6 and kill my Charlotte because she's kind of important right now. And he's just gonna go ahead and pass the turn. He's not gonna replay the Lancelot, so I prevent a turn of damage with my unfortunate failure to actually execute cards properly. So tap for stone after gaining life for drawing a card. I'm gonna pay 4 because at this point I'm shifting into ramp ahead mode to try to get everything I need. I'm gonna go ahead and cast Rewriting Laws first. The Rewriting Laws that I shouldn't have because I should have cast it earlier. I have that Steam Explosion, so now I'm just looking for Odin. So I pay for Valentina's Reach, where X equals 4. I'm going to draw 4 cards. Or 5 cards, and gain 5 life. Because of Charlotte. That's the other thing, is when Charlotte is flipped, all these draw spells, everything else is just mad value, especially Torment, because I'll get to gain 8, and then I'll get to also gain from Charlotte, which is fantastic. I'm going to cast that Magic Stone Analysis. I think at this point I grab the other water source. And I have to try to find a way to deal with that Lucifer. Otherwise, any chance that I try to play like a Reflect or something like that is completely moot. So passing the turn to Logan there. Checking to see what all I have RFG'd, and I'm like, oh, all 4 of my fogs are gone. Logan decides to play 2 and play Lancelot. Swings for 6. Gonna go ahead and bounce it back to his hand. I know he can just replay it, but I'm okay with that. Swing 6 again. Take the 6. Now, he can still Judgment here. He can do Judgment again, but he's looking for some way to give himself Imperishable. And I don't know why he's not tapping for stone here. So he's going to swing for 9. I'm going to take it. And then he's going to go ahead and... Does he tap for stone? Does he catch himself? Nope, he's just going to go ahead and flicker. So missing the tap for stone there is actually not super relevant. He's only got a few cards in his hand. And he's a mid-range deck, so his cards aren't very expensive. But still, I mean, if you're not going to do anything with your Jade Ruler, you might as well tap for stone. I think he's also worried about, since he doesn't have a Regalia, he might hit a Ruler's Memoria. But again, at that point, doesn't really matter. Because you only have, again, so many cards. So, gain a life for drawing a card, cast Rewriting Laws, draw a card, gain some life. Paying... The Light Will doesn't matter at this point. I'm going to go ahead and play Lumia's Judgment, where X equals 4, and in response I'm going to crack my horn to shuffle my graveyard back into my deck. So now I don't have to deal with the Lucifer and the Celestial Wingser, and the Lancelot. Pay 1. Cast Summon from Memoria. Grab another Summon from Memoria and cast that. Draw into a Valentina's Reach. And so I'm just going to put him in a really bad spot here. I'm going to go ahead and tap out and make him discard his whole hand. Get rid of the rest of the cards. So now we're just... He's only got top decks and Lumia, and I've got a handful of stuff. And my life total is still pretty high up, with the option to continually gain life. So, pass to him. He's going to draw for his turn. Draws into, I think it draws into a Lancelot there. He's gonna go ahead and do Judgment. Gets those 2 stone recovered. Swings at me for 10. I'm gonna take the 10. And passes the turn there. So gain a life from drawing a card for Charlotte. Tap for stone. Play Reflect. Put the 4 counters on Reflect. Immediately shift Reflect. And so, you know, I actually get an advantage here, in the sense that, like, he always got 1 card, and so now I can just permanently deal with that Lumia, which is nice. I'm going to pay 2. I'm going to go ahead and cast Magic Stone Analysis to get another stone. Get my Firestone out, finally. I've got those 4 counters on Refrain, and then I'll pass. Draws for turn. Gonna go ahead and recover. He's gonna attempt to swing, and in response, I'm just gonna go ahead and nuke the board. So I lose my Charlotte here, but Charlotte's kind of already done her job at this point, and Logan's gonna be struggling to put in damage anyway. So in moving to combat, I'm gonna go ahead and use that favorable winds to actually tap down his Lancelot. That's why I saved the water well. So I actually get an advantage there for Charlotte flipping back over. I wish Charlotte had Imperishable so I could Judgment her again, but it's fine. Tapping for a stone. I think it's about time for me to reset my life back to 40 and kind of put myself in a much better position. Cast a Shifted Lumia, reset my life to 40. I think I grabbed the summon from Memoria back. No, I grab a Valentina's Reach. To be able to draw a bunch more cards. Because I'm getting close to the point where I'm going to be able to cast Steam Explosion, so I just need to try to find that Odin. I'll pass the turn to him. So recovers, taps for stone. So he's got a Prisia in his hand there. Gets a Ruler's Memoria. Debating about whether or not he wants to play the bow. He does play the bow. Gets the 2 counters on it, and I kind of like, why didn't you just play that before playing the Ruler's Memoria? But he decided to do it anyway. So he's going to attempt to swing the 6, and then he's going to pump it to being an 8. And then he's going to play a Prisia. He's going to swing in. I'm going to go ahead and try to block with my Lumia, and then he's going to bow it. And here's the point where the 2 of us execute something poorly as well. So I'm gonna note that I have the 27 damage there, but I shouldn't. I should still be at 32, because that Prisia also shouldn't be dead because it has first strike. So because Lumia already had 7 damage or 4 damage on it, Prisia would have killed it before Lumia would have been able to do any damage to that Prisia. It's not a huge deal. But it is, you know, important to note. So play that Rewriting Laws, draw another card. All my stones tap for any color this turn. Cast Valentina's Reach. I think we're X equals 6. Yeah. Pay 1 blue. Summon from Memoria. There's no reason for me to actually play blue for that. I cast Rewriting Laws this turn. I should be playing it with a different color, but I don't, which is just not good etiquette there, because the blue is more important during his turn than it is during mine. See, I have a handful of cards. Now, I could just as easily play a Reflect down here to serve as a blocker for that Lancelot, and that's probably what I should do, but I don't. Having a blocker that has Shroud, knowing that I've gotten rid of all of his Lucifers already, makes me feel real good. because next turn Odin's going to come down and just deal a lot of damage. So instead I get a little bit kind of greedy, and I'm going to pay 5. And I am going to play Frigg. So Frigg will let me go back in, grab any spell and any resonator I want. I could grab the Lumia. That would be just kind of like overkill at this point, to be able to reset my life. I don't know why I don't grab a resonator at all there with Frigg. Because Frigg lets you grab a resonator, a spell, and an addition. I chose to just grab a spell, apparently. So I should have grabbed the Lumia to be able to reset my life again if I wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and cast the Summon from Memoria. And then at that point, I'll just leave my 1 stone up. So, really weird execution on that. So I could have still grabbed the Summon from Memoria and the Lumia, cast the Summon from Memoria, and then just played a Reflect still. It's been tapped out, but I've had a blocker that couldn't be targeted by anything, so whatever he tried to do would have been fine. He top decks into Nyarlathotep. He wishes he had that earlier, so he could have had permanent imperishable for Lumia, but got lucky on it. He uses the White Awakening to steal my Frigg. He swings, and then this is where Logan starts to get kind of goofy. So he pumps himself up before he swings. He deals 1,000 damage to me. He does the 700 damage to the Frigg, or to the Nyarlathotep. Back comes my Frigg. I get to grab another spell. Again, I could have easily just grabbed the Lumia there as well, but I decide not to. I think I'm thinking that she's Lumia. I haven't played with Frigg very much, honestly, and so I don't really think about the fact that I can grab multiple things as opposed to Lumia, who just grabs 1. So I kill the Lancelot by swinging with Frigg. I'm going to go ahead and now cast the Odin. I cast Favorable Winds. Get to gain a bunch more life. I have a bunch of cards that don't mean anything at this point. Reset myself back up to 2,400. Gain a bunch of cards. I'm mainly just trying to fill my hand with cancel spells at this point, just in case his top deck is something purely crazy that's going to really affect that Odin, because I know that next turn he's just dead. So he recovers. Calls a stone, hits a Lumia stone, plays 5, gets Celestial Wing Seraph, and I'm like, oh, Lucifer! And then he's like, you've already got all my Lucifers. So he's gonna go ahead and cast the Arla, tap for my 5th stone, my 20th stone, and cast Steam Explosion, targeting my own Frigg, where X is, I think at this point, X would be like a 40 something. And then showing him the cancel spells just in case he wasn't top decking. Logan and I got pretty chill at the end there, but that is the match, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Huge thanks to Zack Tufford for this list. Very creative, very fun to play, very complicated, but deck profiles up later this week. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, this is DMO73 signing off.